Mr. Wayne Walker. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? Happy Wednesday out there.
Hey, I appreciate that. So everybody, like I said, plenty to talk about on today's show as we have a full show here today. And I got to start it off talking about the great game that we got to see, or I guess supposed to be great game that we got to see on Monday night. And that was the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles Rams had to move their home game to Arizona due to the wildfires that have been going on. And it was still a home game for them, but it was about 50-50 in that crowd. If you were those of you that got to watch and got a chance to listen during that game, it was about a 50-50 crowd out there between those two fans. The Los Angeles Rams, they showed up and did what they were supposed to do. They showed up and they took care of business. This was a surprise to a lot of people because the Vikings were 14-3. But me and Wayne both sat on the show right here and said that the Los Angeles Rams are going to be a tough team to beat at home in the playoffs, especially the way that the Rams are playing, and especially with that blueprint being given out by Aaron Glenn in the Detroit Lions just a couple of weeks ago on how to beat the Minnesota Vikings, and the Rams came in and did just that. Wayne came in here and he said, Sam Darnold, he doesn't like pressure in his face. He doesn't like when guys are coming up the middle. He doesn't like when guys are at him the entire game, and that's exactly what we saw from the Los Angeles Rams as they came out there and got 9 sacks in the game. 9 sacks in the game as that defensive front seven just completely dominated in the game. I mean, that was the story of the game. Matt Stafford came out dialed in. He was throwing darts from the beginning of the game. I think the first play of the game was like a 25-yard pass or something down the field. So he came out dialed in to start the game off, stayed that way throughout the game. But the story of the game is that defense, that defensive line for the Los Angeles Rams, which I said was going to be tough, especially with young rookies like Jared Verse out there playing, who got a scoop and score for a fumble recovery, took it all the way back to the house. There was nothing Minnesota could do. They had Kevin O'Connell mixed up, and Matt Stafford did not let up on Brian Flores whatsoever. Whatever Brian Flores tried to throw at him, Matt Stafford and Sean McVay had a counter for it. So this was a really good, really great performance by the Los Angeles Rams, beating the Minnesota Vikings 27-9. Wayne, what was your thoughts when you were able to watch this game?
Well, Jalen, we predicted this game. Like you said, Aaron Glenn gave the L.A. Rams the blueprint. They hadn't been challenged like that. They hadn't had anyone to come up and challenge them and play bump and run, man-to-man, and blitz Sam Darnold because they've been successful. But once you figured that out and once they start doing that, now you're going to have to meet that challenge. So you have to do something to show other teams that you can beat that successfully on a regular basis. And if you can't, that's what you're going to get for the rest of the time. So that was the blueprint. So that was easy to predict because you knew that L.A. was going to come out and do the same thing that Detroit did to them and put that pressure on them. So it was an easy thing. And then, like you said, as a matter of fact, on offense, you have 2 legitimate receivers. You have a good tight end, which the tight end came out hot with L.A. Higbee, came out and caught about 4 or 5 passes. So the game plan was simple. Just get the ball to my tight end, and then you got 2 legitimate number 1 receivers with Nakua, and then you have my other guy over there, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the game plan was easy and just run the ball. So they spread the ball out. They played good defense, and they came out victorious.
Yeah, they came out with a great game plan to start that one off. Got to give a lot of credit to Sean McVay for having those guys ready to play in that game because that's a lot of moving pieces. I mean, it's hard for both of those teams to be able to not only go on the road, but for the Rams, some of those guys are worried about their homes back at home. Some of those guys are worried about their families back at home, and how will they be able to get around that? And they came out extremely sharp, laser sharp. They came out focused, and that defensive game plan that they put together was a masterpiece, in my opinion, because they didn't give Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, any of those guys any room the entire game.
And then again, I want to say, hey, I'm praying for you guys in Southern California. I lived out there for a long time, and I have a lot of friends that still live in that area. I play football with, and they're going through this thing. So I want to pray for Southern California and what you guys are going through in L.A. So it was difficult for these guys to concentrate just on football because now you have to think about your homes, you have to think about your families. And from what I understand, the Arizona Cardinals showed them a lot of love and sent 2 planes out and flew their families, dogs, pets, and everything and put them up for like 4 days. So to make it feel as much as home as it could. But just to go out and compete and play football and win a football game at that magnitude with all the things that you're going through is really big.
Yeah, that was huge for them to be able to go out there and do that. And the Rams, they showed up in a huge way, beating that team. Now they got another challenge coming up as they've got to take on one of the hottest rookies, I guess, in the league, or not. I think the Commanders will be going to Detroit to play.
Right.
Yeah, so they'll be taking on the Eagles, which is going to be, a great game. We'll talk about the Eagles game in just a little bit as well, but you think about this Rams team and the veterans guys that they have, a Cooper Kupp, like you named, Nakua, who plays like a veteran. That guy doesn't play like he's a second-year receiver in the league.
And, man, one of the guys that I played with in San Diego, Eric Yarber, is the receiver coach there. So I know he's proud, and we kind of go by the same principles, but he's an outstanding receiver coach. He has a ring, been with Sean McVay all that time, and he's a really good receiver coach. And he's one of those guys that live in that area that's going through this wildfire deal right now. And I want to send shouts out to him as well. But, man, these guys, man, are playing, and they have the youngest team in the league, and they're playing beyond their age. So, to go out and win that first playoff game is, like you say, is very, very huge for these guys, man. And but it's going to be a challenge going to Philadelphia, and you changing climates. You going to the East Coast from the West Coast.
Yeah,
it's going to be a different animal when you go out there, and you're going to play one of the most dominant defensive and offensive lines there is in the league. And besides, they've probably been one of the hottest teams going down the stretch these last 7 to 8 games. So that's going to be a big challenge for LA going to Philadelphia to beat them at home.
That's going to be a huge challenge. Before we get off the Rams, what do you think their ceiling is as a team this year? Because this is a team, like I said last week, they started off 1-5 on the season.
Well, I think it ends here. I think it ends here. When you get to this level of the playoff, you get to the second round of the playoffs. Like I've always stated that it's 0-0. So what you've done thus far throughout the year, it doesn't mean anything because anybody can get hot at any given time. But it's more stakes on the line right now. And when Barkley decided not to play and to rush to go and try to accomplish a NFL rushing record, man, you knew what was on these guys' mind. Now, it's on everybody's mind to get to the Super Bowl and to win a ring. So everybody's going to go out and play hard, but I just think Philadelphia has too much. I think this is at the end of the line for the Rams, and that's my prediction. But like I say, anything can happen. But my prediction is they'll go home after this one.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you. I think the Eagles are going to be a little bit too much for them. But I think just even getting to the divisional round with this team, with how young that this team is and where this team was projected to go after that first quarter of the season, I think has already been a great accomplishment for Matt Stafford, for Sean McVay, and his coaching staff to be able to even get this far as a team. So that was the Rams and the Vikings, folks. Rams come out victorious in that. They move on to the divisional round, whether it be taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll talk about the divisional round games as we get closer towards the end of the show. Kind of just want to recap some of the games that we've seen this weekend. Want to switch over from the NFL and go to a little college because we got a lot of games to talk about in the NFL. So I want to get some of these college games in while we have a chance. And I'm going to start with the one that I know everybody was watching, and that was the Texas Longhorns taking on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, this ended up being a really good game, which I expected it to be, but Ohio State came out with the win like I expected them to do. I picked Ohio State to be able to win this game. I picked them plus the 5.5 to be able to go out there and win that game, and they covered. They won the game 28-14. A really good matchup that came all the way down to the last few minutes of the game. Honestly, that last drive where Texas was knocking right on the doorstep of scoring and tying the game up. Got all the way down to a 4th and goal. We all seen the play now. Jack Sawyer comes and hits Quinn Ewers, knocks the ball out, takes it all the way to the yard. A fumble, scoop, and score for almost 100 yards. Takes it all the way to the house, and they close the game out against the Texas Longhorns. Moving Ohio State on to the national championship game. That'll be played in less than a week. That game will be played on Monday against Notre Dame, and we'll talk about their game in just a second. But, Wayne, when you watched this game, this Texas and Ohio State game, what were your thoughts? Was the outcome how you expected it to be, and what'd you think about that ending of the game?
Well, I picked Ohio State to win, but Texas had every opportunity to win as well. They kept themselves in the game, and like you said, it came down to, and it's not the 4th down play that bothers me. It was the 3rd down play that bothered me when they were 1st and goal, and you have 5 tries to try to get it in. The 3rd down play, you run a sweep to the outside when they're already more physical and dominant than you are, and they're faster.
Yeah.
They're faster. They're pretty much faster, and they had out physical you the whole game. So my problem was with the 3rd down play. I'm thinking that maybe you should have brought Arch Manning in so you get the defense a little bit something else to think about, and then boots come into play, run pass options come into play.
Yeah.
And you give them something else to think about. So Sark, who had called a fabulous game up until that point because he isolated his running backs and got a couple of touchdowns, big plays off of that, and he called a fabulous game up until the end. But I think not putting Arch Manning in that situation and not giving Ohio State something else to think about. I think that was bad on their part. That wasn't good game planning, and I think he could have used that to his advantage when it counted, because this guy has always been that guy that he brought in on 4th down, and he'll go get him 4 or 5 yards. Mm-hmm. So you give him something else to think about, and they didn't do that, and here we are talking about Ohio State moving on today. So. Great game by Texas, because I didn't think it would be that close.
Yeah,
but they just didn't do enough to win, and it all came down to the 4th quarter, and hey.
Yeah, that one, in my opinion, the game wasn't about, like you just said, it wasn't about that last play where Jack Sawyer comes and hits Quinn Ewers and he fumbles the ball. The game was about the exact play you talked about, the 2nd down play. 1st down. It's 1st down and goal, 1st and 1, matter of fact. They try to run it up the middle. Nobody's really scored on Ohio State running the ball up the middle all year long. So that didn't work. Your secondary play is to go to a toss play on the weak side. They stack their tight ends to the right, throw a toss to the weak side where their best player is at, and Caleb Downs, and he just completely shoots through the gap, knocks a guy back. I don't blame Wisner for that play at all. I don't blame Quinn for that play. That is Steve Sarkisian and just bad play calling by calling that exactly what you said. You bring in Arch Manning on this play. You bring in Arch Manning at some point in this goal line package because he's a threat as a runner. You just did it earlier in that drive on a 4th and 5, and he ended up picking up 7 or 8 yards on a 4th and 5 and picked that up. So then you stray away from that when you get into the goal line. You know Quinn's not a runner. Okay, cool. Take Quinn out of the game. You only need a yard. It's not like it was 1st and 9 or something like that.
He's not a threat at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, he only has one option to hand it off or to throw it. With Arch, he can throw it, he can hand it off, or he can run it.
Yeah.
So that was my problem with that 3rd play that they ran from the goal line, as they had got pass interference in his 1st and goal. Then they get another interference in his 1st and goal. So you have all these opportunities. You know you weren't going to run it up the middle. You know they were more physical than you were. So you have to give them something else. You have to get a defense and something else to think about, and you have to let let everything you have. You have to pull everything out the bag at that point, and see where you go from there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one mistake that he made during this game, is that he didn't bring Arch Manning in on that play. And even if you just run off tackle, quarterback sneak, or you just or he fakes a handoff and pulls it out and have a run pass option. I mean, you give them something to think about. So they had nothing to think about because they had no threat at quarterback. The only thing they had to worry about was the receivers getting off the ball, or him handing the ball off, and that's it, or the pass. So it gave him no threat, and that was my problem with the whole situation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I didn't like the play calling by Sark multiple times throughout that game, but in that last moment, I mean, that was you can't run a toss against the fastest team. I think I heard Shannon Sharp say it on his team. I think Ohio State, if they don't do anything else, they're gonna have a fast team. And I'm talking about throughout the history of Ohio State football, everybody on the team can run.
Defense.
And they got
defense. They're a defensive minded team. They have at least, I think they were saying they have like 5 first-round draft choices of possibilities on the defense. So you're running up against a team that has been great all year on defense. So you have to give them something else. You have to put all the tricks out the bag. You have to pull everything out and see where it goes and make the most of your opportunities. And they didn't. They failed to do that, and that's why they're at home right now.
Yeah, they just weren't able to close the deal out and get that one done. A lot of people have been trying to place the blame on is this Quinn Ewers' fault? Is this Steve Sarkisian's fault? I think it's a collective, but at the end of the day, they played a good game. It was 21-14 with 3 minutes left, and they're on the 1-yard line with a chance to tie it up. Texas played a good game. Texas defense played great. I think the biggest mistakes in that game were that toss play and then them giving up that 75-yard touchdown at the end of the first half to Travion Henderson. You can't let something like that happen because the momentum had finally started to swing in Texas's direction as they tied the game up right before half. They're going to go in at half, get the ball back after half, come back out, try to take the lead. But that big play by Travion Henderson, blitzing all your guys, when you know they're only going to either run a screen or try to throw to something quick in the flats or to get something out of bounds.
And they were basically trying to run the clock out pretty much. If you just make that tackle and hold them to a minimum gain, then they're just trying to run the clock out and trying to maybe get a field goal and not trying to rush because you only have a certain amount of time on the clock. So, like you say, it was those 2 big plays that done Texas in, and they be getting ready for next year. It's time for fall season, baby.
Yeah. So Ohio State is moving on to the championship round. Like I said, that game is going to be on Monday. Before we go on the break, I want to talk about a little bit about that Notre Dame and Penn State game. That was out of I think 7 or 8 games this whole weekend. Only got 2 of them wrong, and that one of them was Tampa Bay and Washington. I picked Tampa Bay to win that game. Washington came out with the win. And the other one was Penn State, Notre Dame. I picked Penn State to come out with the win in that game. But in that one, Notre Dame comes out with the win in another really close game that just comes down to a couple of misplays here, a couple of misplays there. That's how the game. That's how the game ended up shaking out. 27-24 was the final score in this one. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish win this game, move on to the national championship game as they beat Penn State. Riley Leonard, 15 for 23, 223 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. Also chimed in with 35 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown in this game. Now, this is a game that was back and forth the entire game between these two teams. Very similar playing styles, honestly, between these two teams. They both like to run the ball. And Penn State, honestly, had the leg up on Notre Dame until I think that passing play where the corner slipped down and then Jaden Greenhouse made a guy miss in the secondary. Pretty much just a blown coverage, and that let Notre Dame get back into the game. And from then on, it just came down to who had the ball last. And then we saw Drew Aller go out there and throw that pick, really not only cementing their season, but cementing, in my opinion, his chances of coming out and being the first-round quarterback this year. If he went out here there and had a great game, I think he was going to come out and be a first-round quarterback probably this year. They were going to try to boost him up. But he didn't look good in that game at all against that Notre Dame defense. And then throwing that pick at the end of the game was just kind of the game sealer. But Riley Leonard and Notre Dame moves on to the championship round. Jaden Greenhouse had 105 yards and a touchdown catching the ball for them. Tyler Warren for Penn State had 6 catches, 75 yards. He's declared for the draft. Nick Singleton and Katron Allen both had good games. Nick Singleton, 84 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game. But like I said, it just came down to who had the ball last, and Drew Aller throwing that pick right in the final minutes of the game, set Notre Dame up to just walk down the field and be able to score a field goal. So what was your thoughts on this game? Notre Dame winning 27-24 over Penn State.
It was a pretty even game to me.
Yeah.
You know, I think Penn State rushed the ball very well, and then in the first half and the second half, and I think Notre Dame rushed the ball very well in the second half as they start to get a little bit more momentum and get things to going. But like you said, the ultimate mistake came down to who was going to get the ball last. And then you had Allard, who's a veteran quarterback, who's an upperclassman, who's been there before, throws the ball back across the field and throws an interception. Yeah. And if any quarterback knows, or whether you're in high school, no matter what level you are, you can't go and roll out and throw the ball back across the middle because that's going to cost you. And it cost them, and it cost Penn State a chance to go and play for the national championship. Yeah. Because if And that's not the only thing that prevented him from being there, but it's about in the game who comes in, who makes the better plays, who makes the big plays when it counts, yeah, and who makes the mistakes when it counts. And so they made the mistake, and it cost him the game. The quarterback, which I said is a upperclassman, throws the ball back across the middle, and Notre Dame is on to the national championship. Which, man, I wasn't so high on Notre Dame in the beginning, but these guys just find a way to win, and I'm truly a fan of Marcus Freeman now. Yes. You know, I love everything about the way that he became a coach. I love the way he inspires his guys to go out and play. And those guys break a wall down for this guy. They go out and play for him. And, man, and I love some of the things he said about, you know, they were trying to bait him in and asking him about, you know, black coaches and minority opportunities. And he said he don't care what color they are, you know, and everybody deserves a chance. And, man, I you know, just listening at this guy talk and the passion that's in his voice, I became a fan of this guy. Yeah. And I'm kind of wanting them to win the national championship because I like what he's gone through.
Yeah, and to see if Notre Dame is able to get back to that championship lore, that championship status. If they're able to do that and it's under a black coach, I think even means even more. So I'm with you, man. I'm a huge fan of Marcus Freeman, and now we're seeing him starting to get NFL coaching buzz because of what he's been able to do with this Notre Dame team that just 2 or 3 years ago, Brian Kelly left because he said he wanted the chance to be able to compete for a championship.
National championship, and then this guy takes the reins, and guess what? He's playing in the national championship game. And if you get guys to buy into what you are teaching and how you are coaching, and they'll go and knock down a wall for you, man, you got the attention of these young guys. And it's so hard as a college coach, especially nowadays, to get the attention with the NIL and everything that's going on, to get the attention of these guys. And he hadn't gone out and the transfer portal and got a lot of guys or anything like that. It's just through homegrown guys that he recruits that come and play at Notre Dame, and he's winning. And on the other hand, you got a team like Ohio State that spent almost $35 million to get other guys from other schools to come in and play for them. So, man, I mean, I love this guy, Marcus Freeman, and technically, I don't think they'll win, but I am rooting for Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm not gonna be mad if Notre Dame wins this one either. I like you said, what Marcus Freeman is being able to do out here. A guy that just got a shot. He just got a shot to be a head coach.
They took a chance. They
took a chance on him, and he's proven them right, taking that chance on him, leaving a big name coach in Brian Kelly. and this is the replacement. He comes in, and he's doing a phenomenal job.
And Jalen, we predicted this guy to lose each and every round.
Every round.
Yeah,
every round.
We held this Northern Illinois thing against them, losing against Northern Illinois, and hey man, this guy has done number prove us wrong the whole time, and now
every game.
And now that we're going for him, he may lose.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't.
Maybe I need to go back to going against him.
Yeah.
So he can go out there and get a win.
I don't know how to explain that one, but man, we've been rooting against him, and now we're rooting for him. So, but I don't think they'll win. I think Ohio State is probably one of the better teams and probably the best team in the country, and they're playing for that right this week. So we'll see. But as long as you have a chance, and as long as you're in there and you're in a fight, man, you can scratch, crawl, whatever you need to do to win. And I know one thing about it: Notre Dame will play hard.
Yeah, Notre Dame is definitely going to play hard coming out there, and I can't wait to be able to watch that game. That is going to be on Monday, next Monday, matter of fact, folks. Ohio State versus Notre Dame. And, Wayne, I'm like you. I have Ohio State winning in this game. Once again, just too much talent. The same reason I picked Ohio State in each and every one of these games since their first round game against Tennessee. Too much talent. Just like we saw against Texas when everybody was saying, they went out there and they shut down Jeremiah Smith. We locked him up. Hey, man, there's 5 stars everywhere on this team.
But we said from the beginning that it was going to be Ohio State, and that's who it's come down to. So I'm not going to change my opinion or my view, but I am going to say I am rooting for Notre Dame. And I wouldn't be mad if Notre Dame won this at all, man. I'm just a big fan of Marcus Freeman and what he's done with these guys, and good luck to those guys this weekend.
Definitely, folks. Like I said, that game is on Monday. You'll be able to watch that game. I believe it's 7 o'clock kickoff. Notre Dame versus Ohio State for it all, for the national championship. 2 coaches that we didn't expect to be in this national championship game, Marcus Freeman and Ryan Day. And now both of these coaches have to get respect put on their names for being able to get through the first 12-team playoff gauntlet that the NCAA has put out. And both these teams are able to rise to the top, and they'll play for it all, play for the winner of it all on Monday. So we're looking forward to that game. Folks, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about some more of these NFL games. NFL Wildcard Weekend wrapped up last weekend. We'll talk about some of these new head coaching hires that have happened. We'll talk about some head coaches that are potentially getting hired, or some coaches that are getting fired, I guess you could say, are parting ways, as I think the Cowboys and Mike McCarthy have worded it. So we got a lot to talk about still here on Centex Primetime. Stay tuned and stay locked in. We'll be right back after this.
It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis. Act like y'all. Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
It's the family feels for me. The banana pudding peach cobbler make you want to holler for me. It's the candy yams, mac and cheese, beef tips, pork tips and rice, collard greens. It's the sweet potato pie, sweetie. Fried chicken you've been missing, the lemon sweet tea dressing on Sundays when you all dressed up. Chest pie, buttermilk, and pound cake. Cornbread with butter just dripping, always fresh baked. If you need Southern style, soul food, home cooked meals that you can feel. Chicken and dumplings, chicken pot pie, 719 South 11th Street. Sassy's, come on by.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. This is live from the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports Studios.
That's right, sports fans.
About to show these boys how we do it.
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis, your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time. Here still in hour number 1 on this Wednesday afternoon / Wednesday evening. I want to thank everybody for listening in with us on Centex Magic 94.5. Also watching with us on YouTube, Centex Sports TV over on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for watching. Like I said, Monday we had MCC basketball. Tuesday, weren't able to have the show. Back here today with a jam-packed show. Still plenty to talk about here today on Centex Prime Time. Still joined in the studio by Wayne Walker as we just got done talking about a couple of those games, the 2 games in college football playoffs, as looking forward to the college football national championship game on Monday. Got done talking about the Rams and Vikings game that was on Monday, this past Monday. And now I want to jump to some of these other games that happened in Wild Card Weekend this past weekend. We talked about the Rams and Vikings. Want to go over to the first game of Wild Card Weekend, and that was the Texans versus the Chargers, as the Texans came out with the victory in this game, 32-12. That was almost exclusively provided by their defense. Texans defense really stepped up in a huge way in this game. C.J. Stroud had a rough first half, but was able in that final 2 minutes of the first half, kind of able to turn it around and get his mojo going just a little bit, as they were able to drive down the field, score a touchdown, and then they got the ball back with a few seconds left and was able to go and kick a field goal to take a 10-6 lead over the Chargers. The Chargers came out quick in this game, 2 field goals in probably the first 5 minutes of the game, and after that did not score again until the fourth quarter. In the second half, Houston's offense really picked it up as Joe Mixon got going, C.J. Stroud got going, started connecting more with his big target, Nico Collins, who finished with 122 yards and a touchdown in this game. And after that, it was really just Houston's defense took over from that point. Will Anderson getting in on the action. He had a sack and a half. Mario Edwards had a sack and a half. Daniil Hunter had a sack in this game. Danico Autry had a sack in this game. And then you think about the interceptions as well with Eric Murray, who was able to get that pick 6 off of a ball that was just a little bit too high for Ladd McConkey. Caught the ball. The ball went through his hands, fell into the lap of Eric Murray, turned it into a pick 6. Kamari Lassiter had a huge pick after C.J. Stroud threw a pick. Kamari Lashley went right back out there on the very next drive and got the ball back. And then Derek Stingley Jr., who I've said all year is a top two corner in my opinion in the league. Just him and Patrick Surtain are the only two guys I put up there. And he was able to do that by getting first-team All-Pro recognition, I think, last week. And then he comes out here, 2 picks in this game, really dominant performance from Derek Stingley. I think he had a couple passes that he knocked down. He had a 4th down stop that he made on the goal, or not on the goal line, but in the red zone as well. So he had a phenomenal game. But this game was all about Houston's defense. Justin Herbert did not have a great game at all. A couple of those picks weren't his fault. They went through the hands. One went through the hands of Will Dissly. One went through the hands of Ladd McConkey. But a couple of those were just some bad plays made, similar to the bad pick that CJ had earlier in the game. But Houston was able to come out with the win in this one pretty convincingly, and it was a lot provided by their defense in this game. Wayne, when you watched the game, what was your thoughts about Houston's defense and how they were able to turn the game around in this game?
It was a dominant performance by the Houston defense. San Diego came out the first couple of drives. They squandered some points, and it should have been 14-0. They couldn't do it. So when you leave, when you don't take advantage of those opportunities, they come back to hunt you. And so they let Houston stay in the game. And then it can change the whole balance of the game, because then you have a 14-0 lead, and then you have a team playing from behind. So it changes the whole outlook of the game. But when you let Houston stay in it, and, man, they were able to run the ball. They were able to play defense and blitz him and was at his feet. And so you change the whole complexity of the game. And then on the Texans side, like I said, they were able to rush the ball. They ran the ball. At first, they couldn't run the ball successfully, but they kept going. They kept running. And then they started getting some success. And so once you can do that, you open up the whole entire playbook. And once you open up the whole entire playbook, you keep a team off balance. So that's what Houston was able to do, and they just relied on their defense. They relied on their special teams. It was total dominance by Houston, and they won all 3 phases of the football game, and that's why they're moving on.
Yeah, Houston moving on to the second round, and just like you said, them staying with that run was huge for the Texans. I was hoping that they didn't get away from the run, and they didn't. They stuck with it until they were able to break some runs off. It really started with C.J. Stroud able to scramble for 7 yards here, 8 yards here, 5 yards there, until the run began to open up. And then Joe Mixon started to take over once he got later in that second half. And it opened up that playbook, like you said. They were able to find Nico Collins. They were able to find they spread the ball out to a lot of different guys. I think Xavier Hutchinson had a big play in there. Dalton Schultz got into the action a little bit. They used Joe Mixon in the passing game, and that was really a great performance by Houston, especially in that second half.
Yeah, in the second half, they just stood out. They took control of the game. Mm-hmm. Like I said, phenomenal on defense, and then on offense, they were able to rush the ball. And C.J. Stroud did use his legs, you know. And you have to do that. You have to take advantage of every opportunity that's given to you when you're playing in the playoffs. And they did that. My Chargers, on the other hand, you know, a team that has relied on their defense and rushing the ball, got the tables turned on them this weekend. And the same thing that they want to do to teams is what the Texans did to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and Justin Herbert, like I said, really struggled in that game, and just didn't look like he was on the same page. Ladd McConkey really, even though he dropped that pass, and some people are on him for dropping it, that pass was way too high above his head, first off. But 192 yards from McConkey in that game. I mean, if he doesn't have the great game that he has, we'll be talking about Justin Herbert even more than we already talking about him.
He made some great catches.
Yeah,
he bailed Justin Herbert out a couple of times, and I mean, there's nothing more you can say about that rookie, who's probably going to be on the all-rookie team. And he made some outstanding catches, but that was the only positive thing that was going for the Chargers this weekend.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm a Charger. I'm a big Charger.
Yeah.
That's the team that gave me opportunity, and I love them, and I'm pulling for them. But they were overmatched by Houston, and so, you know, for the Chargers, it was a great year. Jim Harbaugh comes in his first year. Mm-hmm. They get to the playoffs. So maybe we can get something going here and get better and better each year and work our way to the Super Bowl. But we're still missing a lot on that part, on that side. We need some receivers, some dominant receivers.
Yeah.
And our defense is going to be good, but I think we still need a playmaker in the backfield. I don't think J.K. Dobbins is it. So we need that explosive back. And I think we'll get better. But last weekend it's the Texans' time. They won, and they're going to be dangerous. They're going to be dangerous in these playoffs. If they can play like they played last weekend, they're going to be dangerous.
Yeah, looking at the Chargers, this is a team that I felt like kind of was a little bit ahead of schedule when you think about all of the big names that they let go coming into this offseason so they could clear cap and try to reset this team, not really having a true number one receiver. Guys on the offensive line missing time. Guys on the defensive line missing time. Still finding a way to come out there and get 11 wins. Now going into the offseason, what are those things that you think this team's going to have to address in order to be able to get to that next step? Because Justin Herbert is still looking for his first playoff win. And he's still super early in his career, but still searching for that first playoff win.
Like you said, they're ahead of schedule. I mean, this is a first-year head coach. You let all of your big-time skill position guys go. So you're going to have to replace those guys with younger guys. Like I said, they need someone that's explosive out the backfield. They need an explosive, consistent receiver, and someone that can stretch the field. And then you figured out that you already had Ladd, which is a good receiver, and he's in his first year, so he's only going to get better. But it's a few things we need. I think we need a couple of linebackers as well. I think we're good on the defense and one defensive back, but you just plug and play. Now you know that you got the core of your team, and you know you can get there. And we drafted heavy on offensive line. I think we need to make that adjustment and do the same thing on defensive line. Yeah. And like I said, explosive receiver. But we'll get there. I think they got the people in place to do it. I think Jim Harbaugh is an outstanding coach, and he will make all the necessary adjustments that we need to advance for the next year.
Yep. So the Texans move on to the divisional round as C.J. Stroud gets his second win in his second year as a quarterback. I ain't going to talk about the Cowboys too much, but C.J. Stroud and Dak had the same amount of playoff wins now. Stroud has been in the league for 2 years. I ain't going to get on him too much, Rocky. I'm going to leave Dak alone, man. I know you're a Dak guy, but Stroud moving on to the second round of the playoffs, trying to get his second win in one season, in one playoff season. So they'll be moving on to take on the Kansas City Chiefs, and we'll talk about that game a little bit later on in the show. Before we go into our break for the top of the hour, I want to talk about another young quarterback, and that was Jaden Daniels taking on Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as they were able to go out there and get a win on the road at Tampa Bay. Washington Commanders win 23-20 on Sunday Night Football. Jaden Daniels, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game, played great. Was able to lead his team all the way down to a game-winning drive once again, especially after Baker Mayfield fumbled the ball with about six minutes left to go, I think, in the game. I think they stopped Washington on the goal line, had a chance to be able to run the clock out or run a majority of the clock out, maybe punt the ball far, put him in bad field position, make him march down the field. A fumble gives him good field position. Jaden Daniels takes advantage of it on 4th down, able to throw a touchdown in the end zone. Scores, gives his team the lead. De'Ami Brown, 89 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 89 yards and a touchdown in this game. Jaden Daniels also led the team in rushing with 36 yards. He led the team in rushing for the season as well in this game. Really good game between these two teams. Baker Mayfield played really good, 15 for 18, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. And outside of that missed snap or fumbled, however they decided to put it there, Baker Mayfield was playing a great game, and he was the guy that was going out there and laying it out on the line. Bucky Irvin, 17 carries, 77 yards. Mike Evans, another dominant game, 7 catches, 92 yards, and a touchdown. This is a game that was back and forth. It was really just – it felt like the whole game, this is just going to come down to who's got the ball last. And it came down to Washington Commanders ended up getting the ball last, were able to kick a game-winning field goal that hit off the uprights and then still somehow managed to go in. in this game. So they come out with a win 23-20 against Tampa Bay on the road. Jaden Daniels, first rookie quarterback to win a road game, to win a road playoff game in his first playoff game since Russell Wilson, I believe. So Jaden Daniels jumping in some more higher rookie stats, just like he's been doing all year long. A guy that I think is going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. No. Wayne, what was your thoughts watching this game, watching them win against the Buccaneers 23-20?
Again, another team that's ahead of schedule.
Oh, yeah.
I was looking at a statistic. These guys were picked to finish last in their division, behind the Cowboys.
Yep.
These guys were picked to finish 28th in the whole NFL. 28th it's only 32 teams in the NFL. Okay. So they're way ahead of schedule.
Way ahead.
And they have a young man that's leading them right now, man, that's playing like a veteran. There's so much poise. And he just looks like a veteran out there, man. And he's got good leadership and he's got good support behind him, around him. And, man, the future looks bright for Washington. Going to Detroit is going to be a big task this weekend.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they can I don't think they're going to be able to compete with them. I think Detroit wins this game. But just to go in a season where you have picked 28th in the whole NFL and you're in the second round of the playoffs right now with a rookie quarterback, that looms big for the Washington Redskins. And I think the Washington Redskins have a bright future ahead of them. But, man, these guys, man, they don't quit. They play hard. Mm-hmm. Dan Quinn went out and got some veteran guys to put around these young guys, man, and it's worked out. And like I said, it's been a successful season for the Washington Commanders, regardless of whatever happens from here on out.
Yeah, ultra successful season for the Commanders this year, being picked to finish 28th out of 32 teams, and you're one of the last few teams left in the NFL. You're part of the last 8 teams in the NFL at the end of the season. Man, what an accomplishment. Jaden Daniels, every time you think that the magic has run out a little bit, they find a way to do something else. This guy is very mature for him to be a rookie coming in. I think Zach Ertz said we stopped calling him a rookie probably after week 3. He said this guy plays like a professional, like he's been here for years. And I think that goes to him playing so many games at the collegiate level. He played at Arizona State for like 2 years before he finally went over to LSU and played 2 years over there at LSU. This guy's played a lot of football games. He came into the league ready to play from day one. They asked this guy to come in and be the leader of a franchise from day one, and that's exactly what he's done. On a team that didn't have – it's not like these guys went out and made, a lot of free agent acquisitions, a lot of big-name free agent acquisitions in the offseason. They came in. Dan Quinn just went and got guys he knew that could play. A lot of the guys came from the Cowboys, even on the offensive side, like Noah Brown and people like that. But Tyler Biadasz at center. But on the defensive side, he goes and gets a Dorrance Armstrong that he coached the Cowboys. He gets a Dante Fowler that he coached the Cowboys, and he gets guys that he knows he can plug and play. Then he goes and gets a true veteran leader like Bobby Wagner to lead that defense. Man, I love this Commanders team, and this is a team that really can only go up from here because they've got cap room, they got a young quarterback on a rookie contract, and a lot of young players on the team.
And Jaden Daniels has one less playoff win than Dak Prescott. And then you talk about a coach that probably should have been the Cowboy coach this past season.
For sure.
And a guy that has led the Cowboys defense and had them in the top 5 defensive categories the last 4 years before he even went to Washington. Mm-hmm. And now he goes over and he's successful at Dallas. That's just kind of like a slap in your face, but we'll talk about that later. But, the Commanders is nothing more I can say about these guys. These guys are heads up, and they have a bright future ahead of them. And, Jaden Daniels is the man. He's the man.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels still continues to shine week in and week out. They'll be moving on, taking on Detroit in the next round of the playoffs, who they'll be playing in the divisional round. I'm like Wayne. I've got Detroit winning this game. I think Jaden Daniels is going to give him a little bit of a push though, because he's getting a chance to play against the Lions defense. He doesn't have to play against this Lions offense, which is a complete juggernaut. He gets to play against the Lions defense that still at the end of the day is beat up and devoid of talent at certain positions. Can he go out there and have some success? I do believe so. I just don't think that Washington defense has any chance whatsoever against that Detroit Lions offense. I think that Detroit Lions offense is one of the best in the league, if not the best in the league, and they prove it week in and week out. But Jaden Daniels, phenomenal season that this guy has had. He's got to be the offensive rookie of the year. I think that should be
no doubt about
a consensus.
No doubt about that. It's a lot of guys that's played well as rookies this year, but he's above all of them. He's above, all the rest. So he is going to be an offensive rookie of the year, man. He's just had an outstanding year. Like I said, man, this guy, the pressure that you put on this guy to give him the keys to the franchise to go out and lead guys that's 10 years older than him, and he go out and do it and as cool under pressure and as poised as this guy is, then, hey, he's offensive. He's in the conversation for offensive player of the year, let alone honestly, offensive rookie of the year. So, man, he's led these guys to a successful year. And like I said, no matter what happens from this point forward, man, the Washington Commanders are a team that's going to be reckoned with in the future.
Yep, so the Commanders, like I said, moving on to the next round, they'll take on Detroit in the divisional round. We've talked about the Texans and Chargers. We've talked about the Minnesota Vikings and the Los Angeles Rams, and we've just got done talking about the Commanders and Tampa Bay. When we come back, we still got some more games to talk about. Lamar Jackson and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I'm not sure what's going on in Pittsburgh right now, and they've got a lot of questions to answer. We'll talk about that. Buffalo Bills over Denver, we'll talk about them. And don't worry, we're still going to talk about Philadelphia beating Green Bay as well. So we got some more to talk about, and we'll line up these divisional games for this next Sunday coming up. We'll tell you who to pick, what teams we got in these matchups. So everybody stay tuned and stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be back for the top of the second hour. You're watching Centex Primetime on Centex Sports Network and listening on Centex Magic 94.5. We'll be right back after this break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime, from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals, well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
Are you hungry for the best fried chicken in town? Check out Crispy Chicken number 1, 11th and Clay, and their Monday and Tuesday special, the Snack Pack, which includes 2 pieces of chicken, fries, roll, and drink, all for only $6. Also, each Monday through Friday from 4 to 6, you can feed the family for $10 and receive 6 pieces of chicken, fries, and rolls. Crispy Chicken number 1 features additional daily specials and also includes mouth-watering short ribs, fried catfish, and chicken fried steak. Locally owned and operated and a Waco tradition since 1975. That's Crispy Chicken number 1 at 11th and Clay.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Well, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Prime Time, hour number 2 of the show here today on this Wednesday afternoon / Wednesday evening. Hope everybody's doing okay today. I want to thank you guys for listening in with us today on Centex Magic 94.5, also on Infinity Sports Radio Central Texas, and those of you watching on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for tuning in with us today. Talked about a lot today here on the show, and we've got plenty more to talk about as Wild Card Weekend just wrapped up last weekend. Round 3 of the NCAA College Championship, or the college playoffs, just wrapped up last weekend. Now moving on to the college championship game, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. We still got some of these games to break down from Wild Card Weekend as well. Still joined in the studio by Wayne Walker as we look at a couple of more of these games from last weekend's slate. Before we do, want to do some quick takes though and talk about just some news going around right now in the sports world. Everyone saw Mike Vrabel hired as the head coach of the New England Patriots. This didn't come as a surprise whatsoever, really. As soon as Gerard Mayo was let go of, kind of knew that Mike Vrabel was going to be the first in line for that New England Patriots spot. He's one of their guys. Comes from that New England Patriots system. Got a great relationship with Robert Kraft. Not a surprise there at all. But I do think he's also a good head coach. A guy that had multiple winning seasons when he was out there at Tennessee. He had those guys in the playoffs multiple years. And now Tennessee's got the number 1 pick now that he's not the coach. So we see how good of a coaching job he's done over the years. And I think he can do the same. They've got a nice young quarterback in Drake May. Got $160 million, I think, in cap room. And they've got a top 5 draft pick. So, Wayne, what you think about this Mike Vrabel hire?
That was the only hire for them. Yep. You know, a guy, like you said, that's been in the system. A guy that was coached by the guy that we consider as the best NFL coach ever, which Bill Belichick. And this guy played under this guy, won 4 Super Bowl rings under this guy. So, I mean, what better guy to pick to lead your team or your organization than Mike Vrabel, a guy that's been there and played there and won rings there. So That was the right hire, and I think he'll go in. Like you say, he's won playoff games. He's been in big games. He's been a successful head coach as well. So now he gets to go home and lead the organization that he played for.
Yeah, I think it's a good coaching hire. I'm just upset that it came at the expense of Gerard Mayo, who didn't get a fair shot at really being a head coach at all. But I do think it is a good hire, and I think Mike Vrabel's going to be a great coach for the New England Patriots. And since we're talking about coaching, got to talk about the Dallas Cowboys and their coaching woes, this coaching drama show. I said last week after we were all sitting here on the show and Rocky had read off the report that Mike McCarthy was blocked from doing an interview doing an interview with the Chicago Bears, that either Dallas is going to sign Mike McCarthy back as a coach, or Jerry Jones is going to start a reality TV show. And at this point, I guess the Cowboys are just a reality TV show, because you block this guy from going, Mike McCarthy from going to interviewing for 4 or 5 days. No idea why you block it. You try to get a deal done, and you say you couldn't come to terms on the deal. And you've had all year to come up with something for this guy. You couldn't come to terms with a deal. Now Mike McCarthy is going to walk. You have absolutely zero plan for your coaching vacancy. Zero plan. Jerry Jones is already spitballing. He's calling Deion Sanders. You know Deion is not about to come up here and be the coach of the Cowboys. But you're spitballing. You're calling Deion Sanders. You're saying, hey, come up here and be the coach. And Deion has already said, hey, it's flattering and all that, but I'm going to stay down here. So now you're back to square zero. You have no plan for who's going to be your coach. You don't have any coordinators you want to move up or anything like that, because your coordinators are older guys too. You're not going to move those guys up. You had 2 good coordinators with Kellen Moore, now the offensive coordinator, Philadelphia Eagles, Dan Quinn, now the head coach of the Washington Commanders. You don't capitalize when you have guys in your building. Now you let Mike McCarthy walk. Maybe you could say we're going to get a shot at Ben Johnson or somebody. He's not going to come there. He's probably going to the Bears or somebody like that. Mike McCarthy's probably going to get another job at either the Bears or the Saints. And the Cowboys are just going to be standing here looking around with, maybe $20, $30 million in cap room, because you're paying a lot of guys big money. You've got to pay Micah Parsons big money coming into this offseason. You've got guys on big contracts that are hurt. And I don't know what the Cowboys' plan is from here. And honestly, I don't think Jerry Jones knows what his plan is from here. Wayne, what is your thoughts on the news of Mike McCarthy moving on?
Well, you just said it all. They don't know what direction they're going in. What I've heard is he talked to McCarthy, brought him into his office, and his plan was that he would hire Jason Witten. And Jason Witten was supposed to be the guy in waiting, and he wanted to get this guy a 2 or 3 year contract and wanted him to hire Jason Witten, have him as the coach waiting. This guy doesn't have any experience, but he wanted him to gain that experience. And I heard at that point, Mike McCarthy walked out the door. It was like, it's over. So that ended the talks there. Then you called Deion. Deion has a $10 million buyout on his contract. So you'd have to pay $10 million. Deion has said that the only way that he will coach in the NFL if he can coach both of his sons. That's not going to happen.
Nope.
But this is America's team, and Jerry wants to be in the headlines, but I don't think he want to be in the headlines to where somebody gets more headlines than him.
No.
And so I think if they did hire a black head coach, this would be the only opportunity to hire a guy like Deion Sanders. Aaron Glenn is another guy that's of African-American descent that you could hire, that played in Dallas as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't think he's doing. I think Aaron Glenn is gonna probably be the Jets head coach. And this is just me talking. But I wouldn't want to come to Dallas. This is a position that is like Troy Aikman said, the Dallas Cowboy legend. This is not an elite head coaching job anymore like it used to be. only thing I can see them doing is Kellen Moore coming. They just have no direction. They don't know which way they want to go. And it's going to be hard to find a coach when you have no say-so in what goes on. You have no say-so in who you acquire as free agents. You have no say-so in who you acquire in the draft. You have no say-so in who you want to be the offense coordinator or the defense coordinator. This guy brought Mike Zimmer in to be, he didn't ask Mike McCarthy. He said, Mike Zimmer is coming in to be your defense coordinator. When Mike McCarthy got there, he didn't say that you can bring in your own offensive coordinator or you can be the offense coordinator. He told him when he came in that Kellen Moore was going to be the offense coordinator. Yep. This is the guy, because he was supposed to be the coach in waiting.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They don't have any direction. They don't know where they're going. I'm interested to see how this plays out. You know, they threw Deion in the fire, but I don't see that happening. But if there was to be a African American coach in Dallas, a black man in Dallas, it's gonna be Deion Sanders. That's the only one that I want. But I don't see that happening because I don't think Jerry wants to give up any of his popularity because he's the show in Dallas. And so you would have to share that and not even share it. One would get most of that attention.
Yeah.
And so I don't think he wants to do that. I don't think he wants to be in the background because if he wanted to be in the background, he had an opportunity to do that years and years and years. And I think that's what stemmed from Jimmy Johnson being gone, Bill Parcells, and all the other coaches. You know, this is a guy that wants to run his team, and he wants that honor of being that guy that's made them successful. He wants to run this team. He wants to be responsible for what happens in Dallas. Yep. And he has that right because he's owner. He's the billionaire. He's paying the check. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
But I think I'm pretty much right. Yeah. And so I just don't know what they're going to do. But it's let's see how it plays out. Yeah. I'm sure this will be a topic of conversation for us in the next couple of shows.
Yeah.
But I just don't see it. The only thing I can see them leaning on is going and getting Kellen Moore. And that's it. And then I don't think he can get permission until after the season's over with or whatever. But I think he's going to be that guy that you'll see in Dallas.
I think that's the only direction they can go is to a guy like Kellen Moore because he was in that program already. He knows the system, and he's not going to talk. If Kellen Moore comes, I see him being a Jason Garrett. Nobody saw Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator or any of those other places and said, man, this guy's a great leader of men. He was just out there. Right. He could have been a decent play caller. I think Kellen Moore is a decent play caller. Never heard anybody speak to the leader that Kellen Moore is. Not saying that he can't be one. I'm just saying, but Jerry Jones would love that. Okay, let's just bring him in, and something goes wrong, it's his fault.
And it's a guy where you bring a guy in that you can control. Mm-hmm. He doesn't get to hire his own staff.
Yep.
Jerry Jones is going to play a part in all of that. And that's going to be the problem in Dallas. That's going to be the problem for Dallas in a long time. That's why it's going to be New York and Dallas fighting for that fourth place finish in the NFC East every year for the next 3 or 4 years until they can get that straightened out. Because football has changed, and the old way of doing things, you have to have a supporting staff. You have to have many football minds involved to make decisions, and if you don't have those, then you're not going to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, like you hit the nail on the head. He's going to come in and pick your staff. He's going to come in and tell you who to hire. He's going to tell you who to draft. It's not a lot of guys signing. If Troy Aikman is coming out and saying, this is a top 5 player in your organization, top 3 player in your organization's history, one of the most lured quarterbacks in NFL history, but for sure in Dallas Cowboys history, and he says this isn't an attractive job for any head coach.
No, you're gonna have It's a tall mountain to climb, man. It's steep, and I don't know if it's gonna be. It's gonna take years to climb. That's what I'm saying. You just gonna keep. I mean, right now Dallas is in limbo, and they don't know what direction they're gonna go in. And It's interesting to see how it plays out. But I don't think Prime is coming to Dallas.
No.
I just don't see it, and that's my boy, that's my friend, and I hope he does. It might turn me into a Cowboy fan because I have a friend that's a coach.
Yeah.
But I just don't see this happening.
Yeah, I don't see that happening either. Do you see Mike McCarthy getting one of these vacancies that's out right now, whether it's the Bears or the Saints that he's been linked to, or maybe one of these other jobs?
I can see him going to the Saints. I think in Chicago they're going to take a chance on Cliff Kingsbury that's with the Commanders now, or they're going to get Ben Johnson. I mean, it's an attractive job for any guy that's a offensive signal or play caller because you have all the pieces in place. You have a number one quarterback that has potential. You got the running backs. You got the receivers. You have everything that you need there to be successful. I think the offensive line play, you can go out this year and you can make a couple of picks along that offensive line and start trying to fix it. But they have a top 10 defense that's already in place. And I think you got your skill positions already in place. You got your quarterback of the future. So the only thing you really need is to work on your offensive line, but it's an attractive job for anyone. So I can see Cliff Kingsbury, who worked with Williams at USC, or I can see Ben Johnson, a guy that's been the offensive guru of the whole NFL the last 3 years, going there and trying to fix what's going on in Chicago.
Yeah. I think they're going to go with a younger guy, like you said, Cliff Kingsbury or Ben Johnson. I see Mike McCarthy getting that job possibly at the Saints because they're another team that they don't know what direction they're going. I think they're finally going to hit that reset button that Dallas needs to do, but they kind of can't because of the people they've paid. I think they're finally going to try to hit that reset button in New Orleans and let Mike McCarthy come in and try to build some culture around them. But as far as him with the Cowboys, that is over with, and that's America's team, y'all, that y'all like to call them. So we'll see where this goes. But like I said last week, if they don't hire McCarthy, then they're starting a reality TV show, and this is just, I guess, the first episode of the reality TV show.
Starting Jerry Jones, man.
Starring Jerry Jones. We're going to go over to another potential coaching blunder or potential coaching vacancy, however some people look at it, and another game, the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's not really much about the game. Baltimore wins 28-14. Because I think we all picked Baltimore to win this game pretty handily over Pittsburgh. They haven't won a game in about a month and a half. So I think we all picked Baltimore to come out here and win this game. Lamar takes care of business, goes out here, wins this game pretty handily. Derrick Henry rushes for over 180 yards. They beat the Steelers pretty easily. And I know we got a lot of Steelers fans on here that listen with us too. Steelers fans are everywhere, every part of the country as well. Is it time to finally move on for Mike Tomlin? And, coming into the season, I always said, nah, man, you can't move on from Mike Tomlin. Like, dude never has a losing season. He's a great coach. But at some point, when does that run out? When does going 9-7, 10-6? When does that run out eventually? This is a team with a lot of pride. This is a team with a long story history. This is a team that expects to come out here and win championships. They got 6 of them. And yet they haven't won a playoff game since 2016, close to a decade now of not winning the playoff game. And I think only 2 of those seasons they didn't make the playoffs. Every other year they make the playoffs and they lose. This is a team that held on to Ben Roethlisberger too long. I think that led to this happening and not being able to find a quarterback. They didn't want to hit the reset button on the quarterback position. They waited too long. Now they've been in quarterback hell for 5, 6, 7 years now. And they finally get Russell Wilson in there, but he's not enough to get you over the edge. They got Justin Fields. He's not enough to get you over the edge. Now you got T.J. Watt going to be looking at his future. Cameron Hayward's probably finna retire. George Pickens, we don't even know if he's going to be on the team next year. I don't even think he likes anybody on the Steelers. I don't know what to think about this Steelers team. Is it time to move on from Mike Tomlin, in your opinion, Wayne? Or do you keep him and just try to rebuild this team some more?
Well, I think long as the Rooneys are over the Pittsburgh, the Steelers organization, that'll be a choice that Mike Tomlin gets to make. He can. I think it's a choice that because he would be one of the most sought after coaches in the whole league if he wanted to leave. Mm-hmm. But I mean, his heart is in Pittsburgh, and they do just enough to get into the playoffs, but that's about far as it's gone. At least the last 7 or 8 years, they hadn't advanced to the second round at all, but they're good enough to get there. And so sometimes when you're a coach, you have to reset. Hey, it's time for me to move on. I'm not able to be successful here, so maybe I just need to go and try it somewhere else. And over the last couple of years, especially with this team, you had so much trouble out of your players. You had this same problem, and it always seems to be the receivers.
Yeah.
It started with Antonio Brown. You had Deontay Johnson, and then you have Pickens, and so. And he's one of those guys that players are able to relate to, and they call him a player's coach. And he's one of them guys you can go in the office and you can tell him anything and talk to him. And those are the guys and the coaches that you trust the most.
Yeah.
And he's that type of guy. But at the same time, just being mediocre and just being able to get to the playoffs sometime ain't enough. But I think he's that guy that has to push the reset button and say, hey, I want to go somewhere else. I want to go coach somewhere else. I'm not getting it done here. But as long as the Rooneys are in charge, he's not going anywhere. I can tell you that.
I agree. The Rooneys have had 3 coaches in the last, 50 years?
Yes.
They had Chuck Noll until he retired.
Yeah.
They had Bill Cowher until he retired. Right. So it's not like they've yet to fire a coach. They didn't fire either one of those guys. Both of those guys retired. So Mike Tomlin, like you said, it will be his choice on whether he wants to leave because the Rooneys are not going to change, especially with a guy. It's not like he's out there losing. He's just losing in the playoffs, and that's their problem. I mean, I don't know how they get over the hump picking at 20-something every single year.
And to be fair, you have to have the right ingredients to bake a cake. He don't have the right ingredients. I don't know if he don't have the flour, he don't have the sugar. It's something that he doesn't have. He don't have the frosting. It. You have to have the right ingredients to bake a cake, and he doesn't have the right ingredients. He don't have the right players. He don't have the right personnel. Offensive wise, Russell came in and played decent ball, but they still. Pickens is a good maybe number. I don't know if you want to call him a number 1. I think he's a number 2.
Yeah, he's a number 2.
But you got to have a dominant receiver. I don't think Najee Davenport is it on
Najee Harris. Yeah.
Najee Harris is it in the backfield, but he just doesn't have it, and his defense is always going to be relevant. He's got a pass rusher, but other than that, they don't have anything to me. They don't have the right ingredients to be successful, and so. I think they still need some things that they need to figure out as far as personnel-wise before they can be successful.
Yeah, they've got a lot to figure out. They got to get back to Pittsburgh Steelers football. I mean, they've got to be able to stop the run and run the football. I think once they started the further and further they strayed away from that is when we haven't seen them win any games. They're not a team that's super strong up front on the defensive end. They got a T.J. Watt and they got Cam Hayward. But besides that, they got pass rushers, really. They don't have a lot of big guys to stop the run.
And then you have a Joe Burrow, and then you have
Lamar.
A Lamar in your division, man. So that's an uphill battle too.
Yeah.
That's a battle that you're not going to win. You have to play these guys. That's 4 times you have to play these guys.
Yeah.
So, man, it's going to be tough sledding, and you don't have a quarterback of that caliber. Though you have a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Russell Wilson, he's not the Russell Wilson of old. So
he's a free agent too, going into the summer.
Right. So you have to figure that out first. You have to figure out your quarterback situation, and you got to get somebody explosive as this guy in Cincinnati and this guy in Baltimore. And I don't see that happening for a while. So
going into the summer, do you try to rely on the draft once again? And try to pick somebody up late in one of these rounds. Jackson Dart, who I think is going to be that guy that rises up a lot of people's draft boards as we get closer to the draft out of Ole Miss. Do you try to wait and see? Is he going to be at 20-something? Or do you go and give money to a Sam Darnold who's going to be a free agent, whose money obviously just went down after his performance in the last 2 weeks? Or do you go and look at one of these free agent quarterbacks? How should they – because you can't win without a quarterback. That's been the number one Achilles heel since 2016. Ben Roethlisberger was way past his prime in those years when he was playing. And after that, they've had nobody at quarterback. Russell Wilson way past his prime. He's also a free agent. Do you re-sign a Russell? Do you try it again with Justin Fields? What direction do they go? Because you got to get a quarterback.
Well, the one thing about it is you have to have that. If you have a quarterback in place, you have a chance. That's why Dallas will always be relevant right now, because they do have a quarterback.
Yeah.
And a quarterback is the hardest thing to find in the NFL.
For sure.
And you see it with a lot of teams. You see it in Pittsburgh right now. They can't find a quarterback. And if you can't find a quarterback, you're not going to be successful. Most of the teams that are successful, they have a quarterback. You see Miami take they fell down because they've fallen because they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
You have to have a quarterback to be relevant. The Raiders, you have to have a quarterback. All the teams that don't have a quarterback, the Indianapolis Colts, those teams that don't have a quarterback, they all sit at home and they all at the top of the draft this year. So you have to have a quarterback to be relevant. And Pittsburgh has a problem. They're going to have to go out and find. I think you kind of stay with Justin Fields and you try to, because if anything, this guy can use his legs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his decision making, and if you put the right coach on staff to work with this guy, he can make those adjustments. But I think Russell is past his prime. So you just have to go out and you have to find your quarterback. But I think Justin Fields, you keep him, but you don't pay Sam Darnold because you know what bothers him.
Yeah.
You know, so he just lost tons of money this weekend because now you know if you put you rush people and you rush 5 and you put people on, at his feet or at his knees, he's not going to be successful. He's going to throw the ball to the other team. So I don't know. You just go and try to find you a good quarterback. And then the other quarterbacks that's coming out, Shador and Cam Ward, those guys are going to be taken. So the only thing I can see if you going out in free agency and finding a guy or you making a trade or you doing something like that. But Pittsburgh is going to be in that hole for the next few years until they can figure it out.
Yeah, so Pittsburgh Steelers, they lose another one, this time to the Baltimore Ravens, so I know that one hurt a little bit more. Like you said, a lot of questions they got to figure out at the quarterback spot. And as long as Mike Tomlin is there, they're going to be competitive. They're going to have a chance to go out there and win games. We just don't know what this team is going to be able to do when it comes to the playoffs. But they got a lot of questions to answer. To another team that's got some questions, I guess you could say, to answer at the quarterback position, and that's the Philadelphia Eagles coming out with a win over the Green Bay Packers in this game. Now, this is a game that two different spectrums as far as when we look at the quarterback play. First off, Philadelphia comes out with a win, 22-10 against the Green Bay Packers. Complete dominant performance, honestly, by Philadelphia Eagles. They turned the ball over well. They got 3 picks on Jordan Love in this game. Jalen Hurts didn't turn the ball over, and that went a long way for this team. Jordan Love never looked like he had his rhythm in this game. From start to finish, just didn't look that good, in my opinion, from start to finish in this game. And a lot of that is because of Philadelphia defense. I mean, we saw him try to get some of the long balls that he got multiple times throughout the year, throws it right in Darius Slay's arms. We've seen him try to run the ball. Guys are right there on him. The offensive line couldn't hold up, especially once Elton Jenkins went out, who is their best offensive lineman. Once he went out, pretty much all hell broke loose on that defensive line. They started getting after Jordan Love for the rest of the game, causing him to force the ball down the field, had some turnovers in that game as well. So Zach Bond ended up getting an interception. Just some bad decision-making on the part by Jordan Love. On the Eagles side, they won this game and they won it handily, 22-10. This offense just does not look right, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Said whenever you come on here, I know you'll have some different opinions on that. This offense just does not look right, in my opinion. Jalen Hurts, he had 13 for 21, 131 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. So I got to commend him on that part. But he didn't look right, in my opinion. He didn't look right coming back. Maybe that was rust because he hasn't played in a couple of weeks. But he didn't look like he could force the issue of moving the ball down the field whatsoever. And that's been his Achilles heel his whole career is explosive plays and things like that if he's not throwing to A.J. Brown. All of his explosive plays almost in his career are to A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown goes out there and gets 3 targets, 1 catch for 10 yards. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. A.J. Brown is on the sideline reading books. I don't know what's going on with that. Devontae Smith got the majority of the work in this one, 4 catches, 55 yards. Dallas Goedert, 47 yards and a touchdown in this one. Philly comes out with a win, but what you think about this Philly offense, man, and how they looked against Green Bay?
Quite frankly, they won this game with their defense.
Yeah, they did.
The key is Jalen Hurts. You have 2 capable wideouts that's able to catch the ball. You have a great tight end. You have probably the best back in the whole NFL. So you had the weapons to be successful. You probably had the most dominant offensive line in the league. But if you go and play a Detroit team, and I think they can beat the L.A. Rams with what they have because their defensive effort has been great the last few games, and it's only getting better. And they have a dominant defensive line, and they've been they defense has been lights out the last few weeks. But you're going to need more out of the offense, and that starts with the quarterback position. The one thing that you don't want to do is be one-dimensional. Yeah. If you're able to run the ball, you're good. But then when teams stack the line of scrimmage and you're not able to run the ball, but can you throw the ball? Yeah. And he hadn't been throwing the ball well. And I know it was his first game back, and sometimes you have to shake the rust off. But he's going to have to do better going forward in the playoffs. Like I said, and even this Ram team can be dangerous if they get ahead and then the Eagles become one-dimensional and they have to throw the ball all the time because Jalen Henry, he hadn't been accurate. And that's the only problem I have with the Eagles is the quarterback position. Can he overcome his insufficiencies right now as a quarterback because he's not being accurate? And I know their defense is going to be great, but teams are going to score points. You have an elite offense in the Rams that's going to score points, or you're going to be able to score points with them. You scored 22 points in last weekend, but 14 of those points came off of turnovers.
Yeah.
So if you're not getting the turnovers, if Matthew Stafford don't come over and turn the ball over and they getting field goals, you're going to have a field goal type of game. They're going to score, but can Jalen Hurts come out and put up the numbers possible to keep the Philadelphia Eagles relevant and keep them in the game? And if so, I think they'll win. But going forward after that, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the Philadelphia Eagles if Jalen Hurts doesn't play better.
Yeah, he's got to play better in my opinion. If you want to be able to win, the guy that touches the ball every play has to play better. He's got to be a threat throwing the ball. If not, those guys are going to push up. They're gonna rush after him because they know he doesn't want to run. He's coming off of a concussion. He doesn't want to run. He wants to throw the football. Then when you put pressure on him, like Green Bay did, and I got to give credit to Green Bay's defense. They played a great game. Similar to that Detroit and Minnesota game, they've given out a slight blueprint on how to slow down this offense because Saquon had 119 yards. A lot of those yards came in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, no
Before
doubt.
that, they were stopping that run. They had Jalen Hurts in the box. A.J. Brown couldn't even get a look. And Devontae Smith had to carry the load. But they giving out a little bit of a blueprint moving forward.
Yeah.
Can the Rams do some things that Green Bay did in their offense? We just seen what they did to Minnesota's defense.
I always say, man, when you get in the playoffs, everybody comes in at 0-0. Mm-hmm. What you did in the regular season doesn't matter at all. And, man, these guys are hungry. Now you fighting for the ring. Now this is when real football begins.
Oh, yeah.
The game speeds up a lot. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's done. So it's speeded up. And if you don't speed up with it, you're going to be left behind. So we'll see what happens with Jalen. We'll see what happens with the Rams. But, man, they're going to have to play. Every game from here on out, you have to play.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't get this far not being good and not being a good football team and not having excellent coaching. So coaching and everything comes into play, and the game is won and lost by the players. So you have to go out and play, and you have to play your position, and you have to be a quarterback that's not one-dimensional, but you got to go out and you got to use your legs. You got to use your running backs. You got to be able to throw the ball, and if you don't do that, teams are too good in the playoffs just to be one-dimensional, and you just rely on Saquon Barkley. That's not going to work.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a full, total team effort taking on Los Angeles. That game is coming up this weekend in the divisional round. Folks, we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about these divisional round games coming up here on the show to end out the show here. So stay locked in, folks. We'll be right back after this short break.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.
Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency and your go-to source for all things audio and video. Is your church long overdue for audio and video upgrades? Call Lighthouse Streaming for a free consultation. Does your corporate or church event need audio or video production? Don't stress. Call the guys at Lighthouse Streaming. In business since 2017, Lighthouse Streaming has produced hundreds of live events and completed dozens of church and venue installations. Whatever your AV needs are, Lighthouse Streaming has you covered. Give them a call at 254-252-4206. That's 254-252-4206. Or go to lighthousestreaming.com and set up your free consultation.
Hey guys, it's Rocky and Keisha, and at Prosperity Tax Service, we're all about convenience. We get it. Life is busy. Your time is valuable. That's why we've streamlined the entire process to be as hassle-free as possible.
No more sifting through piles of paperwork or spending hours at an office. With Prosperity Tax Service, you can handle your taxes from the comfort of your own home.
Your financial data is in safe hands with us through our secure and user-friendly customer portal at prosperitytax.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things tax-related. Log in anytime from anywhere, whether it's from your couch or on the go.
We are experienced tax professionals well-versed in handling a variety of tax situations. Receive genuine assistance and competitive pricing from real tax professionals who've seen it all.
We're marking 2 decades as a community-based enterprise here in Waco, Texas. So call us at 254-235-5662 or log on to www.prosperitytax.com. Thanks, guys.
NSJ Event Co., one of the premier event designers in Central Texas and a Centex Sports Network supporter. Voted Waco Awards Event Planner of the Year 2021, NSJ Event Co. is your go-to source for event planning. Whether it's your next baby shower, birthday bash, wedding, or retirement party, NSJ Event Co. will bring out the elegance, class, and style your event deserves. Call NSJ Event Co. at the number on the screen or scan the QR code to schedule a free consultation. NSJ Event Co., where the party lady takes care of all your event needs.
Are you looking for something new and unforgettable in Waco? Come to the Blazing Asian, where authentic Cambodian flavors meet creative culinary flair. Voted People's Choice as Waco's #1 Asian restaurant since 2019 by both the Wacoan Magazine and the Waco Tribune Herald. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin, we're serving up family recipes with a twist. Blazing Asian egg rolls are rolled fresh daily, and their sauces or marinades are made in-house with love. Stop by today. Located inside the popular Union Hall on 8th and Franklin. And for Baylor students, enjoy 10% off with your student ID.
Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. KWBT-FM, HD2 Waco, Temple, Killeen, Fort Cavazos. The new leader in sports in Central Texas is Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
Holy Jesus. What is that?
It's time to get in the game.
Do you know what time it is?
Tune in to Primetime Sports Talk with Jalen Gillis.
To me, you are nothing.
Your go-to source for breaking sports news in Central Texas and exclusive Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Well, start it up. Let's go.
Catch us Monday through Thursday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back into Centex Primetime, home stretch here of the show today. I want to thank everybody once again for tuning in with us today on the show. Still in studio, joined by Wayne Walker as we wrap up the show, talking about the divisional round games coming up this weekend. We got a chance to break down these wild card weekend games. Only game we didn't talk about was Buffalo and Denver, but y'all know what happened in that game. Josh Allen blew them out. It was that simple. 31-7. The Broncos made it look interesting at the beginning. They scored the first touchdown of the game and never scored a point after that. Just too much Josh Allen after that. So looking at these next 4 games over the weekend, final 8 teams in the league. First game on the slate, Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Texans came out and got a really good win over the Chargers, a division foe for the Kansas City Chiefs this past weekend. But Kansas City Chiefs aren't the Chargers. These are the back-to-back Super Bowl champs. This is Patrick Mahomes. It's going to go down as a top 5 quarterback, top 3 quarterback in NFL history, however you want to put him in there. This is Andy Reid, who's going to go down as a top 3, top 5 coach in NFL history. They got the best defensive coordinator in the league, Steve Spagnuolo. They've got the best tight end, one of the best, once again, top 3, top 5 tight end in NFL history, Travis Kelce out there. They've got some of their weapons back. Right now, Kansas City is an 8.5-point favorite in this game. I think that's a lot of points. I'm going to give my Texans a little more love than that. Kansas City, for sure, deservingly is the favorite. But Houston has a chance to make some noise in this game. They've got a couple things that Kansas City doesn't deal with well, and that's rushing the passer from the edge. They've got a great interior line with Joe Thuney, who's won 4 Super Bowl rings. I think he's won 2 with Kansas City, 2 with New England, and Tom Brady. Creed Humphrey, best center in the league. Trey Smith, one of the best right guards in the league. But they have probably the worst tackles out of any team that even made the playoffs this year. Their tackles have been absolutely terrible all year long. All those games that were close to Kansas City was in is because their tackles were getting put on their back 85% of the game. Their tackles are really, really bad. And Houston has got 2 great edge rushers, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, coming from the edge. I think that's a recipe that can give Kansas City some problems. The problem is their strength on defense is their interior pass rush, and Houston Texans' weakness is the entire offensive line. Take whatever spot you want, the right side, the interior, wherever you want to slice it. Chris Jones is going to be able to get pressure on the quarterback. That's the biggest problem. But I do think that this Houston Texans team is going to have a chance, and I think it's going to be a close game at the beginning, really for majority of the game. I'm going to take Houston in the points, 8.5 points, man. I don't think Kansas City's going out here and beating them by 2 touchdowns. You pick Kansas City, obviously, nothing to say with that, man. But I got to ride with my Texans. We made it this far. We were underdogs against the Chargers. We got some good players that can make some noise. We got 2 lockdown corners with Kamari Lassiter, Derek Stingley Jr. It just depends on how C.J. Stroud going to play. That's how this all goes. We know what 15 is going to do on the other side. Receiver-wise for the Chiefs, doesn't even matter. I would say, well, they got some guys back. They went and got Hollywood Brown is back, and he's practicing with him, and still got Deion. I don't think it matters who goes out there receiver for them. I've seen this guy win with Justin Watson as his number 1 target, and they go out there and win games. So everyone should be scared of 15 when you get to this part of the year, because this is when the Chiefs turn it on and start showing why they're better than everybody else. But I got the Texans having a chance in this game. Wayne, looking at this first matchup, Texans and Chiefs, what's your first thoughts?
Well, you gave us all the reasons why the Kansas City is going to win this game. Best quarterback, the best coach in the league, top 3 tight end, one of the best interior lines, and the best defense coordinator. Another factor in this game is going to be that Kansas City is at home. They play in an open-air stadium, which is going to be cold, ground freezing. You're going to have wind blowing, and you playing in the elements, okay? So I don't think Justin Fields is going to be. And I think one thing with Kansas City, they make adjustments better than anybody. In-game adjustments, halftime adjustments. they make those adjustments better than anybody in the league because they do have the best head coach, because they do have the best defense coordinator. So I think Kansas City is going to win this game by 14 points. And I'm taking Kansas City for those reasons. And I also think that the elements are going to play a part in this game. I think Houston is going to get down, and they're going to have to rely on the pass, and that's going to be a recipe for disaster because Kansas City can get after the passer, and they have the best defense coordinator. So I'm picking Kansas City. That's where my money is going, and I'm picking them to win by 14 at home. And they've been just sitting and waiting, and they just been game planning for whoever's coming next. So they well rested, which sometimes rust has a lot to do with it, and you have to play that off, and then that second half you come out fresh and you're ready to go. But at the same time, Houston gets banged up. They play the game, so you're kind of sore, and you have to get over that, and then you come back and play the next week when Kansas City has already been resting up. But I'm picking Kansas City by 14. This guy from Texas Tech is going to get it done, man, and I'm going with the Chiefs. I'm rolling with the Chiefs.
Yeah, 15 is a scary dude. That's all I can say. I'm going to ride out with my team until the end of the year, y'all, but 15 is a scary guy. And so is the dude with the mustache on the sideline calling them plays, too. That's a scary dude. He doesn't look physically imposing, but
But just in game adjustments, like they can be losing by 10 points, and then they'll come up and change their whole offensive scheme. And when you have an experienced quarterback that can do that, you have an experienced coach that can do that, and they can see things happening in play, in game, and then you can make those adjustments on the run, man, that looms big when you're in the NFL. Because now you're saying, well, this guy is just primarily rushing to the outside. So now what we want to do is we want to throw screens. We want to run draws. We want to do all these things to counter that so these guys can sit back. Kansas City does that as well as anybody in the whole NFL. So I'm thinking those in-game adjustments is going to counter what the Texans can do defensively, and I think Kansas City will come out on top.
Yep, so that game is the first game of the divisional round weekend at 3:30. Kansas City Chiefs at home taking on my Houston Texans at 3:30. I'll definitely be tuned in between calling some of these MCC games this weekend as well. Going to the next game of the night, 7 o'clock game, the Washington Commanders taking on the Detroit Lions. Washington, we just talked about them in hour number 1 and the job they were able to do in the wild card round and what they've been able to do all season. But like Wayne said earlier, the train stops here. This is the last stop. They're going up there to play Detroit, and I think Detroit's going to win this one. Right now, Detroit's a 9.5-point favorite. Once again, a lot of these spreads are kind of big, especially to be the division round. But I think Detroit covers in this one. This Detroit offense is going to completely let loose. You gave Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, and Dan Campbell too much time to prepare. The amount of plays, I mean, they were playing short weeks and coming up with trick plays to throw the tackles. You done gave them 2 or 3 weeks to play in this now. I don't know what kind of plays they're going to come up with. They might run a fake field goal for a touchdown or something. At this point, the amount of plays they're going to be able to draw up. So I like Detroit in this one by however much the spread is going to be, 9.5 points, 10 points. I like Detroit all the way in this one. I think Detroit's the scariest offense to be able to play against in the entire league. Wayne, what's your thoughts about this Commanders line?
I'm with you. I think Detroit wins by at least 14 in this game as well. They're offensive juggernaut over there. They can score from anywhere on the field, and they can score in a multitude of ways. You know, they can do it through the air. They can do it through the run. A team that's been doing it all year, averaging 30 points a game, somewhere 28 to 30 points a game. Mm-hmm. That's scary in the NFL.
Yeah.
And now their defense is coming along. You got guys that you took off the streets, but they're coming along as well. Went out and played Minnesota, which was a top 5 team in the league, beat up on them and has 2 weeks to prepare. And now they're getting some guys back on defense this week, and they get another guy back on offense. And like you said, man, they have 2 weeks to get healthy and prepare. And they're playing at home. the Ford Center is going to be rocking, man. These Detroit fans have been hungry for a long time.
Yes.
And a team that should have been in the Super Bowl last year gets a chance to rectify that this year. And I think they're going to be fired up, and I think they're going to be ready to go. And I pick Detroit in this one big.
Yeah, we both like Detroit in this one. And like you said, that Ford Field is going to be loud. Detroit's been waiting a long time to be this good. And they're going to go out there and show it with the support of their team. So that game is the night game of Saturday night. Both the teams with the byes playing on Saturday. On Sunday, two games that are going to be very closely contested in my opinion. And the first one of those games is the Los Angeles Rams versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We just talked about Philly and how they were able to come out and be successful against Green Bay. Talked about the Rams and how me and Wayne both predicted that they were going to get the upset over that Minnesota team. Now, this is a whole different ball game playing against Philly. Right now, Philly's a 6.5-point favorite. I don't know if I will take them that high. I do like Philly in this game to be able to come out with the win. But this is going to be about what we just talked about. This is about Jalen Hurts. If Matt Stafford comes out here and gets this ball first and goes out there and scores a touchdown in the first 3 minutes of this game, this is going to be a problem for Philadelphia. Because can you play catch-up? They're used to running the ball, slow game. Let's slow grind the team out and be able to slow grind out a victory. But what if a team comes out and puts up 14 points right away? Then what are you going to do? And that's exactly what this Rams team can do. So like I said, probably in week 14 or 15, this Rams team can do that to anybody in the league because they got Matt Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua, who I said is the best receiver duo in the league, Sean McVay, one of the best play callers in the league. And now we just saw what this young Rams defensive line can do whenever they can put a team in catch-up situations. Now you can get Jalen Hurts in a 3rd and 7, in a 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. Man, that's scary. I got Philadelphia winning, but they're going to have to come out and strike first, and they're going to have to find a way to get this offense going because you're not going to stop Matt Stafford the whole game. You can get stops on him. You're not going to hold him to 7 points to 10 points in this game. So you're going to have to come out and put points up on the board. What's your thoughts on this Philadelphia and Rams game?
Well, I'm with you in one regard, and that's Philadelphia is going to have to play. And I think it's going to be a close game. Like you say, it all kind of trickles down on Jalen Hurts and what he can do. Mm-hmm. And that's my key to the game is this guy. I know Philadelphia defense has been getting better as the weeks go on, but Los Angeles is going to score. And I'm picking Philadelphia. It's another game that's going to be played in open air, which means it's going to be cold in Philadelphia, ground freezing, and you on natural grass. So Los Angeles hadn't had to deal with that a lot this year. Coming out and playing in sub-20, sub-30 weather. Yeah. And that's what they're going to get this weekend. And I'm going to get that to Philadelphia, and I think Philadelphia will come out. And I think they'll be able to run the ball, and it's going to be a heavy dose of Saquon. But you need some play action in there, and you need to be able to hit your targets and your receivers downfield and your tight end. And if they can do that, I think Philadelphia will be okay. So we'll see how he progresses as the weeks go on, because last week he hadn't played in 3 weeks. Jalen Hurts. So sometimes it takes a little time to get acclimated to the speed of the game again, because he hadn't been out there. And then when you go to the playoffs, it speeds up even more. It's a little bit faster because guys are on it, man. They're trying to knock your head off, man. You got dogs out there, man. So now at this point, the game speeds up a little bit more. So we'll see if he got all the kinks out and he's ready to go this weekend. So, but I'm picking Philadelphia.
Yeah. Philadelphia's got the work cut out for them. This is not going to be an easy road back to this NFC Championship. This is a 14-3 team, a team with Super Bowl aspirations. But you're going to have to come out here and play this weekend playing against this Rams. And on the Rams side, you're back out here in the cold. Everything looks good whenever you're in that dome, whether that was in Scottsdale, whether that's in L.A. Now you're back here on that grass. You're back out here in the cold. And I know Aaron Jones is a good running back, but that ain't Saquon Barkley that you're getting ready to play. So this is going to be a dogfight in this game. Final game on 5:30 on Sunday. Best game of the weekend. And Wayne, I'm gonna let you go first on this one. The Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, two quarterbacks that you've been watching close all year long. I'll let you go ahead and start with this one.
I'm not gonna miss a play of this. Man. This is football. This is big time, old fashioned football. I mean, man, you got Josh Allen, you got Lamar Jackson. Man, these guys, neither one of these guys has been to the Super Bowl. Both of these guys have taken a lot of criticism for not getting their teams to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And they're probably in similar places. And man, they going up to Buffalo, and you got Lamar, and you got Lamar, and you got my man
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking that Baltimore. I'm picking Baltimore to go, and this is the only game I'm picking that's not the home team, that the visiting team is going in to win. And I don't know if I'm going with what I know or with my heart, man. I want Lamar to get it so bad. You know, I think he's been the best player all year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what a way to fall out of the playoffs or to lose at this point in the season when you're so close. And I think he gets over the hump. He's been in his position several times, and so has Josh Allen.
Yeah.
But I'm giving it to Baltimore. I think Baltimore's defense has been playing well the last few games. And so has Buffalo's defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a dogfight. I'm going with Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I'm going with Baltimore because I think they have more weapons.
Sure.
But, man, this game, it could ultimately come down to anybody winning, and I think it's going to be a game that's separated by 1 to 3 points, man. Really, it's that close.
Point spread is 1 point right now. Baltimore's favored by 1 point.
And it's even. It's even. You just don't know which way it's going to go this weekend. But I'm not going to miss one player there. That's going to be an outstanding football game. 2 outstanding quarterbacks, 2 outstanding defenses, and man, 2 guys. I mean, that's been in the same position for the last 3 or 4 years, not being able to get to the hump and get to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. But man, it's going to be a dogfight, and I can't wait to see it.
Definitely a complete dogfight. That is the perfect way to describe this game. Buffalo and Baltimore playing against each other at Buffalo. It's going to be close to negative something. I think it's going to be like 11 degrees last time I seen what it is, but it's probably going to feel like negative something once that wind starts blowing out there in Buffalo. I'm like you. I got Baltimore winning this game, and I don't know if I'm picking with my head or my heart in this one because I want Lamar Jackson to win this game because I can already see the storylines, and we've seen it all year long. We've seen it with really both of these guys coming out the same draft class. We've seen it their entire careers.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, if Josh Allen goes out here and loses this game, they're going to say, man, what a fight did he put up as he went out there and lost. He didn't have anything he could work with out there. He just did his job, and he did his best. But if Lamar Jackson loses this game, he'll never get it done. He still can't get it done. He's still not a real quarterback. It's the storylines of the game is why I want the Ravens and Lamar Jackson to win this so bad, because Josh Allen can't throw enough picks, can't turn the ball over enough to be considered a turnover guy, a guy that can't win. They're still talking about him putting up 40 points on Kansas City 4 years ago, 4 years ago.
Right, and that time has passed.
That's way past that. But Lamar gets all the way to the AFC Championship, loses to the guy that nobody can beat, and still all year we talked about Lamar just can't get it done. It's just like when he lost to the guy that everybody had lost to for the last 3 years. So that's why I need Lamar to go out here and win this game. But you hit the nail on the head. This is going to be an absolute dogfight in this game between these two. Two guys that are right there for MVP.
Yeah, 2 guys are the leading candidates for MVP. 2 guys that came out in the same draft that's been in similar positions their whole career, not good enough to get to the Super Bowl. Outstanding quarterbacks during the season, but when you play football, everything is judged on what you do in the playoffs and what and getting to the Super Bowl and getting that ring. And neither one of these guys has been able to do that. And until they do, they're going to continue to get criticized as quarterbacks.
So this is a huge one, folks. They saved it as the last game of the weekend for a reason. I can't wait to be able to watch this game at 5:30 on Sunday. Baltimore going up to Buffalo to play almost a battle for the MVP. I know everybody's MVP vote is already in, but this is almost like a battle for the MVP as well, and probably a battle to be able to take on the guy in the AFC Championship that no one has been able to beat, and a chance for one of these teams to be able to get to the Super Bowl. So this is going to be a huge game, like I said, at 5:30. Can't wait to be able to watch that game. Folks, we're out of time here today on the show as we got a chance to get through all of these games. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button if you're watching with us on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. Also click that bell so you can get notified whenever we go live here, 5 to 7 p.m. weekdays right here. Want to thank Wayne for jumping on the show with me today. We'll be back tomorrow to close out the week, talk some NBA, and we'll talk some more about these games. We'll talk some more about the national championship game as well. So stay tuned and stay locked in, folks. Thanks, everybody, for listening with us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Everybody have a great evening.
Peace. Central Texas home for sports. It's Centex Sports Network and Infinity Sports. Catch all your in-depth sports analysis with the best. The hottest sports show in the evening is Centex Primetime, hosted by Jalen Gillis.
Act like y'all.
Weekdays 5 to 7. This is the Central Texas #1 leader in sports. Centex Sports Network.
That's right, sports fans. We can talk about sports.
And Infinity Sports.